to the Boston Collegiate Commons. For those of us that haven't had this space, that's like something that you would be so excited about. You would cheer like, yay, it's the Commons. So yay. Some of you understand. We're so excited to have you here in our home and as part of our Boston Collegiate family. This is such a special gathering for us here at BCCS, and we're surrounded by our whole community this morning, from our neighbors to our partners in education, to our elected officials, to our trustees and our generous donors, and of course, our staff and our students and our families. I especially want to recognize our special guest, Mayor Walsh, who's been with us for so very long. He shows up at everything we ask him to, from graduation to our annual dinner to our topping off ceremony mid-construction. He is always here for us. Thank you, Mayor Walsh. I really think it says a lot about a person's character if they are somebody who shows up. And so I just wanted to say how much I personally and we as a school appreciate your deep commitment to this school. And I also want to recognize our other elected officials who are Phil Carver. Tell me who's in the room. They're on their way. They're all on their way. Everybody's on their way. But let me waste no time before introducing a very, very special guest. So the school's co-founders are Susan Fortin, Brett Pizer, and some of you may not know that United States Congressman Stephen Lynch was one of our school's founders, was there at the very beginning when this was just a twinkle in the eye of those who had a vision. And I now want to ask him to come to the podium and give you a little bit of history about this school. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Great to be here. I did hear that there were some former students of Monsignor Ryan Memorial High School here. Are they? Yeah. Raise your hand. Oh, terrific. So this building and which is now our home. So I have 5 sisters, but 3 of them graduated from MRM, and they went to school with Margaret Shaughnessy, who is my wife. So I have my 3 sisters and my wife all graduated from MRM, and personally, they're very, very happy that the school continues on in its mission of educating the young people of the city of Boston. So it's great to be here. I want to thank my colleague and my dear, dear friend, Mayor Walsh. He's been a true champion. When we've tried to expand and engage in these capital projects, Mayor Walsh has been right beside us and has been just a terrific, terrific asset to our organization. My thanks to Susan Thornton, my co-founder, and also Brett Pizer. Brett has a real job, so he's not here this morning, but just it's a joy. It is a joy. The very beginning of this, the idea of this school was around the fact that we questioned whether we were preparing students for the new jobs in the newer economy back in 1998. And the idea here was to double up on the amount of science and math education that our children were receiving. And, but we still wanted to maintain a true diversity of the entire city of Boston. And I have to say that, you know, on my visits here, that mission, all of that mission is alive and well. It's been a blessing to us all. Ironically, after this, I'm gonna run and try to catch a plane. Hopefully the TSA workers are happier this week than they were last week. But now that they're getting paid, matter of fact, I'm going to give my cookie to one of those TSA workers. But so I'm going down because I have a bill on the floor this afternoon, the Financial Services Protection Act, and what it does is it's a fintech protection bill, and it actually will help us try to transition our financial services in a way that's protective of consumers, because much of what we're doing in banking today is transitioning from brick and mortar institutions, as traditional banks, to the internet. You know, things like Rocket Mortgage and Quicken Loans and all these different functions that we used to do in analog at at regular banks are now being done on the internet. And there's risk in that. There's some level of risk of that. And there's also lack of, I think, competent regulation in that area. Well, those are the jobs that we're preparing these students for. And it's just remarkable when I see every graduating class. They're kind enough, Shauna Verone is very kind enough to give me a roster of where our kids are going to school at the end of each year. And 100% of the kids from these classes get accepted to college. These kids, and I'm not just saying one or two, these kids are regularly going to Harvard and BU and BC and Northeastern, Wellesley, Babson, Berkeley, all the locals, wonderful local schools, but also Texas A&M, Purdue, the United States Military Academy at West Point. There's just a diversity of goals here and dreams of our young people that are being served each and every day. So it's a wonderful, wonderful environment here. There's a great vibe at Boston Collegiate Charter School, and you just see it every single day just walking in the door. It's a wonderful place that is conducive to learning. And it is all due to Shauna Verone and the teachers and the staff and the students and the families that are engaged here. That's the secret sauce. It's the teachers, the administrators, the staff, and the families of these children. One team, one fight. That's the magic that happens here at Boston Collegiate Charter School. And I'm just so proud to be associated and to play just a small part in that. A wonderful, wonderful success. So those of you who are inclined to continue to support us, please do, and tell your friends about it. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. We're so grateful for your efforts in the past and still today, and thank you for your hard work in Washington. Now, everyone, we want to show you a little bit of where we've come with your support, so we're going to do a brief video. Please enjoy it. Boston Collegiate Charter School. We were still missing some very key features that you need for a functioning, high-quality high school program. And we have been grinding it out without those facilities for a long time. The Boston Collegiate Commons.
We finally have a space for the assemblies instead of going all the way to the plumbers union, which was a hassle, especially when it was raining, which it seemed to be raining all the time.
Students will be able to come together and catch up with friends from different advisories and grades. Not only will students be able to talk with their friends, but possibly sit down with someone new.
In addition to that, we'll have the commons used as the performance space for the middle and lower school musical.
I'm Jenny Dubasson, one of the high school art teachers. The new classroom will provide a space for me to show my students new ways of seeing the world. name is Kate Darling, and I'm the biology teacher at Boston Collegiate Charter School. The new expansion project will allow my students to fully engage in authentic laboratory investigations, which will better prepare them for college and STEM careers.
Hi, I'm Shay Martin. I teach 10th grade English. This new space is going to allow my students and I to have great discussions about the cool text that we read in our class.
Thank you for indulging us. That was a quick preview of what you're going to see today in the room you are currently sitting in. So as you probably saw, if you had been here in this space last January, you would have been sitting out in a dugout hole. And if you had been with us the January before that, you would have been sitting on our blacktop between what was then our middle school and our high school buildings. And you've heard a little bit of the history of the school from Congressman Lynch, but the story of this building goes back further than that. And if you'll indulge me, I just want to share a little bit of the origins with you. So it's 1923. Babe Ruth has just hit a 3-run homer in the newly opened Yankee Stadium, and right here on Mayhew Street, St. Rita's Primary School, later to become Monsignor Ryan High School. Did anybody in this room go to St. Rita's? I recently met somebody who did go to St. Rita's. I'm on a hunt for these, the original folks. But opened its doors to its first group of students. Just 7 years earlier, in 1914, the convent building next door opened up to 40 Sisters of Charity. So fast forward 96 years. The school on the corner of Mayhew Street and Boston Street still opens its doors every day. It's now serving 500 middle and high school students from all corners of the city, from Dorchester to South Boston to Mattapan to West Roxbury, with 200 students down at our lower school as well. And these students come to this old building, still an old convent and an old Catholic school, to get a college preparatory education. For the last 20 years since its founding in 1998, this school has been laser focused on academic rigor. And it is amazing what a committed group of teachers, for here at Boston Collegiate, make no mistake, we believe that without great teachers, nothing else matters. And a group of students and families who believe that there are no limits to the success that can be achieved, can reach. Now, it's interesting because upstairs in one of the rooms that used to be a bedroom to one of the Sisters of Charity, Brooke Hilliard works her magic. A BCCS graduate from the class of 2014, hailing from South Boston, Brooke is a first-generation Dartmouth College graduate, graduating in 2018, and now she's an 8th grade ELA teacher back here at Boston Collegiate, where she began her career to change educational outcomes for students just like her. Back in Hanover, there are 3 other BCCS alums making their way through Dartmouth and taking that northern hamlet by storm. And across the country, as the Congressman mentioned, at West Point and Purdue, Texas A&M and the Naval Academy Prep School, and here in Massachusetts, at Tufts and Harvard and Amherst and Williams and Northeastern, and every school in the UMass system, especially UMass Boston, our alums are bringing the BCCS education to bear to tackle the rigors of college. These alums proved an important point, and that point is, it sure doesn't matter what your school looks like for you to thrive academically and be prepared for college. Because those students went to school in a place in which they ate lunch every day in their classrooms, in which every classroom was used every period and multiple teachers circled in and out of the classrooms, in which gym class was either outside on the turf or on an urban hike to Moakley Field, about a mile away. And yet, given what was possible under such constraints, we could not help but think of the incredible potential of what would be possible with fewer constraints. And given what we asked our students and teachers to deal with daily, we couldn't help but envision a few more barriers being taken out of their way. And so, together, this school community, the neighborhood community, and the donor community rose up and made this place happen. We launched our fundraising campaign, the Capacity to Lead campaign, in 2016, and we raised over $4 million to support a total $12.7 million construction project and a $1 million fund to support teaching excellence, which just attracted a new gift from the Lewis Family Foundation. I especially want to recognize our 2 lead donors of $500,000, the Barr Foundation and the 1-8 Foundation. Additionally, tremendous thanks to the following donors of $100,000 and more: Nicole and David Chang, Rick and Nani Burns, Brian and Stephanie Spector, Wellington Management Charitable Foundation, the Walton Family Foundation, the Lewis Family Foundation, Bill and Christina Hayden, the Cabot Foundation, the Cummings Foundation, and Atsuko and Larry Fish. On January 3rd of this year, and you saw it in the video, we permanently opened this space to our students. And it's hard to describe the mood in the school, but if I were to try, I would say it literally feels lighter. We actually had to get rid of about 18,000 pounds of old furniture and debris, some of which I am confident goes back to the early 1900s. So in fact, it is lighter. But truly, to hear the students talk, it was actually breathtaking. And a teacher emailed me the first week in January, and I was really touched by what they said. She said, "Hi, Shauna. I wanted to pass along a wonderful comment a student made today after coming into our new room, 250, for class. She said, 'This classroom makes me feel beautiful.'" She went on to explain that, you know when a room is so beautiful, it just makes you feel beautiful? This led to a brief conversation of 2 other students saying, "Doesn't it seem like we go to a private school now?" And I said, like, "Yeah, it really does." Now, I know, and you will surely see that we are a long way from a facilities footprint standpoint from the hallowed halls of, say, Milton Academy. But it matters when young people feel respected and treated right by the facilities they enter into to learn. And it matters when the sun shines into their classrooms, and it matters when they can eat lunch in a space designed for that, and it matters when they can gather as a community. And it especially matters for the students at this school, who are an even mix of students of color and students who are white, when the world just doesn't come together that way. So thank you. It took a lot to get here. Aside from the money, it was a year of construction noise and headaches for our extremely kind neighborhood, and a year of cramped quarters for students and teachers. For our students, the challenges make the end so much sweeter. And though the number 13 million is so staggeringly big for a person who began her career as a teacher that it boggles the mind, I was gratified to learn when I toured a senior person from a construction company, and not the one working on the project, that this was the most efficient use of space he had seen in a long time, and that we were getting a lot for our money. So, well then. So hats off to you, project team, Bob Baldwin and Lindsay Snow, our construction company, W.T. Rich, our architect, Miller Dyer Spears, Pink & Company, our OPM, our attorneys from Goodwin Proctor, Krikitis, and our internal team that ground this out like no other, Pete and Peter, Amanda Kay, Steve, Bethany, Josh, Jan, our finance team, team, Sue, Melissa, Cornelius, and many more, our instructional team, Jenna, and our principal team, everybody just, as you said best, one team, one fight. We were one team, one fight for a long time, and we got to this point, so thank you all. It is now my pleasure to introduce the wind at our back during this whole campaign, our board vice chair and our campaign chair, Nicole Chang. When the staff convened in this room for the first time, I shared with them a little bit of the behind-the-scenes force of Nicole. Nicole and David, inspired by the work of this school, and particularly the incredible college counseling team, which I would put up against any college counseling team in the nation, they led this campaign. So I shared their commitment, and in particular, their incredible commitment of $300,000 of their own money. And I remember when I said that number, there was an audible gasp among the staff in this room. And later, I talked to a staff member who said she went home and told her husband, could you believe this lady gave like $300,000 of her own money because she believes in what we do in this school and our students and what we do every day? And yeah, knowing Nicole, I believe it, but it is pretty remarkable. So Nicole, thank you for believing in this school and in our students, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the stage. Before I pass over the microphone, the board and the staff wanted to express our deep appreciation to you by giving you a small gift to commemorate your leadership of our campaign. And let me get it right up. It is a picture that says, presented to Nicole Chang with gratitude and admiration for your resolute tenacity and humble leadership of Boston Collegiate Charter School's Capacity to Lead campaign. Thank you. You can put it there. And you have to hold the microphone.
Okay.
We're still working on getting a stand for the microphone, everybody. Oops.
It's okay. It didn't
All
break.
good.
It's okay. So if you didn't cry after the video, I'm going to just cry now for all of us, so that's fine. Thank you, Shauna. I'm so excited to be here. I mean, I wore a really bright color because I'm super, super excited, and all of you are here too to be super excited. I've been drawn into this school about 4 years ago. I was invited to their gala by board members Scott Utzinger and Val Mosley, and my husband and I will tell you, it's the students. The students greet you at the annual gala, they walk you downstairs, they talk to you, they tell you about themselves, they tell you about their school, what they are proud about, and that's what drew us in. So I was actually duped into leading this capital campaign. I was at a board retreat, and Shauna said, I need a committee. I need people to help me. And I was like, I'll help you. And she literally turned to me and said, will you lead it? And I was like, oh no. I don't do development work. I don't know anything about fundraising at this time. And of course I said yes. Nobody really says no to Shauna. If you know her, you know that. So we formed a committee. We have many of those committee members here, and I am not going to name them because I will forget somebody and then I'll be in trouble. But you know who you are. And I think all of us are very, very happy here to see all these happy faces, to see everybody, see the results of all of our hard work as a village. Boston Collegiate is a village. It takes a community to do this much work. Literally, I can't tell you the admin people that I was putting together these tables with, the cafeteria tables. Literally, Amanda Kay would be like, all right, this is how you do it. And she's got one leg up here, and she's pushing it over. And I mean, people just pitch in. We had another teacher walk by and say, what are you guys doing? You need help? I mean, that's Boston Collegiate. And it does take a village. So when you're raising $4 million, that's a lot of money. And I got to tell you, people stepped up. They met the students. They heard the story. And those that could purchased a classroom for $100,000 to teach kids science. And those that couldn't, who were 24 years old, made a $500 donation and had their company match it for $500. And I got to tell you, those people keep coming back. And those people say, hey, did that kid get into Bowdoin? And she did. And they say, oh, remember that girl you had that went to Tufts? Like, how's she doing there? Like, is that okay? Is she doing well? So people really want to know. I have to say that there are people here that that did more than their fair share, Mr. Charlie Cassidy, Bill Carver, of course, Shauna Verone and Bethany Guin in Development Office. I got to thank Susan Fortin for helping found this school with Congressman Lynch and Brett Peisner back in the day, because otherwise none of us would be here. And I have to tell you, one of the things that I learned about raising money is that it never ends. So we got a little over $4 million, but we're still going. So if you see a science classroom today, you see an arts classroom today, we'll take your money. And don't worry, because we can space it out over 3 or 5 years. So it's not like you have to give it all at once. And I have to also tell you, foreshadowing, somebody else, hopefully not me, might be knocking on your door in a couple years to build a gymnasium for these students. And the thing that I tell everybody, every donor, every potential donor that I met with, is the kids, and you guys listening up there, the kids need this space, they deserve this space, and you all can make it happen. So lastly, I just want to tell you, students and teachers, can you all stand up, please? If you're a student or a staff member at this school, stand up. I have one big message for you. All right, here's my message. For the students and the teachers and the staff at this school, you are worthy of this school. You are worthy of this addition of these classrooms, and you are going to college. Thank you. I just want to introduce our student speaker, Boston Collegiate senior, Camilla Charles.
All right. Would you like me to hold your microphone?
Hey, man. No.
You got it? Okay.
All right. Let's do it. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for saying it back. All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to our ribbon cutting event, and I'm excited to share my reflections on the new space. Okay, first, let's start with this room. I mean, the cafeteria is adorable. She's cute. I love her. What's more, it feels like a real community space. It feels like a lunchroom, and then you put the tables up, and bam, it's a community space. As a senior, I'm glad it finished it when it did, because frankly, I thought I wouldn't get a chance to use it. I remember standing in the landing out there with Ms. Verone and being like, it's too bad I'm not gonna get to use it. And Ms. Verone was like, it opens next month. I'm like, so yay. So yay, I'm excited to use the space before I graduate. When this room was opened up, so many of us were like, finally. Just to paint a picture of what it was like before, we ate lunch in our classrooms every single day. I know there are some donors in this room, and to those who have donated, thank you for giving me a place designated for eating where I can just be happy and free just for a second, without worrying about having a slice of lettuce on my homework, which was the kindest thing that I worried about when we ate in our classrooms. Now, in terms of the community aspect, I wanted to share some thoughts on how the space has already helped us. I was on the tech crew for the lower school musical Cinderella, which ran earlier this month, as our first annual musical in the new space. I was so excited to do the lights from the balcony. Hello, we have a balcony. It made me feel advanced, like playing a real role in the tech part and playing a real role in the part of the tech crew. Let me just tell you, I am overjoyed. I mean, truly ecstatic that we don't need to walk down the street to the Plumbers Union for assemblies like we used to. I'm really grateful that the Plumbers Union let us use the space when it's 7 degrees outside and you forgot your coat. It's not a fun time. But now we just walk on down to the cafeteria. We feel like an actual high school. After this, I hope you take some time to see our new classrooms. We're still getting used to the numbering. It's a very small school, but it feels like a huge new space. The first day back to school in January, I went to environmental science, which had been our science lab in the basement, which is really designed for chemistry. Turns out that I was in the wrong place because now we have 3 other science labs. So the environmental science lab, where Mr. White, who has been with the school since the beginning, now has a real environmental science lab that is not in the basement, that has cabinets and sinks and everything like that. Shout out to you, Mr. White. I don't see you, but I know you're here. So. Also, I have to say, in regard to the classrooms, the natural light makes a huge difference. We have so much to look at. We can see the entire city of Boston from our new classrooms. It really wakes you up. when you're under artificial light all day and it literally drains you. The new classrooms are also very cute. And finally, our teachers get to have their own classrooms rather than being moved around all the time. Teachers get to decorate them, and the decorations are permanent. They have rooms where they can make memories with the students that can last a lifetime. It's really corny, but it's true. Let me tell you, when they see this place now, the students who graduated are jealous. On the day before December break, we held an alumni day right here where you're sitting. Our alum who have gone off to college came back and shared their stories of what it's like to be in college, what's great and what's challenging. We used to have to split up all the alums in a bunch of different classrooms and cram the high schoolers in on the floor. Now, we all get to be in the same room and hear the same stories. Those alums couldn't believe what the school looks like now, but Jay-Z once said, Rosa sat so Martin could walk. Martin walked so Obama could run. Obama ran so we all could fly. That is very true. So these alums who paved the way for us to have this space by doing so well and convincing all of you that we were worth supporting so we can all benefit. And in the same spirit, I can't see what the kids who are in the 5th grade now make of this place. I hope they take care of it. As a city, we are all very diverse, but schools aren't so much, and I specifically think for kids of color like myself, you've got to put yourself in places where you think you can learn from all the different kinds of people. I sometimes think where I could have been without the support of my family and the teachers at the school. It's kind of scary to think about what could have happened, but because of the school and the support of my family, I'm excelling. I applied to Northeastern, Boston University, New York University, Trinity, and UMass Amherst this month. I found out where I'm headed later this spring, but one way or another, I'm going to college. And next year, education, yay. And next year, I'll be sitting up here as an alum talking about the food, my roommate, my class schedule, and everything that makes up the college experience. As silly as it may seem, all this preparation has happened inside a building. I don't think you know how much it really means to the students, how great it feels to have a place to learn and to grow such as this. Before, BCCS wasn't subpar, but it wasn't all that it could be. Now BCCS feels professional. I feel like your environment affects what you do. In a bright classroom with colors and natural light, we feel more productive. It is really setting us up for college, so thank you all for being a part of that. It is now my pleasure to introduce my bestie, Mayor Walsh. When I was in the 10th grade, I gave you a copy of our school newspaper, the Hurricane Herald. Look out for the next issue, she's spicy. Thank you for coming and help us open this space.
I want to thank Canella for that introduction, and I want to, I don't know what I want to say about you, making me follow her. I mean, come on, will you? That was awesome. Awesome job. And whenever you're speaking, just advice, just keep going, no one knows. I lose my place all the time, I just ramble, and then I just watch people's heads like this, and I'm like, it's time to stop talking. But you were awesome. To Congressman Lynch, I want to thank the Congressman. I remember when this school was founded, when he started along with the founders of the school, and how excited he was to have, I think, South Boston Harbor Academy. Very excited. I want to thank the President of Boston City Council, Andrea Campbell's with us today. Thank you, Madam President, for being with us. Nicole, you did an awesome job, and you're still doing it, and raising money is brutal, but you just keep doing it, and thank you for what you and the committee. To the board, the trustees, both past and present, thank you for your support to this school and what you do for this community, these young people in this community. Without your support, we wouldn't be here today. To the donors who gave money, anyone representing donors, tell them thank you. Thank you for the investment in our young people's future, because these young people are doing amazing things. The kids who've already graduated are doing amazing things. In City Hall, I have several Boston Collegiate graduates working for me in high-level positions because of the foundation they have. To Shauna and the teachers and the faculty and the staff and everyone that makes this school run every single day, thank you for what you do as well, because without a whole village, all of those parts, all those people I thanked, we wouldn't be able to be here today if it weren't for all of you. To the students, congratulations. I remember coming and addressing the students, and we addressed them on the steps out there. Everyone kind of stayed on the steps, and we're doing so. Enjoy this. You might not realize it until you leave here, just how important the transition and the time of your time in the school, what it means here. Congratulations. To Shauna, thank you as well for your great work and support of the school. To the building trades and all the people who built this building, thank you for that, your help and your craftsmanship as well for being here. And to the neighborhood, thank you for the neighborhood for supporting this school. I'm going to back up a little bit. I grew up not too far from here. St. Margaret's is my parish. I remember MRM. I remember going to a couple of MRM proms. I remember the teachers that taught here taught me at St. Margaret's. When MRM closed, it was tough for the community. It was tough for the neighborhood because the Sisters of Charity were literally dying off, and there was no one in the convent. The school was going to be empty. And not too far from here, about 4 blocks away, there was a piano factory that was abandoned in the neighborhood I grew up in, and there was nothing going on in that piano factory. And if it weren't for this school to bring life back to this building, that building, and then this building, and educate young people from the community and from the neighborhoods, and then take a piano factory and convert it into a school, 3 buildings that were empty, and maybe empty for a long time, or maybe could have been condos, teaching young people and putting young people in the future that's going to make the decisions that are going to lead our city, lead our state, lead our country. I want to thank the community for supporting this school from the very beginning all the way through. And I also want to thank you for, I know there were some tough questions asked once in a while, and I want to thank you for that as well, because you don't have a good neighborhood. You don't want to be in a good community if the neighborhood's not involved. And because the neighborhood's so involved, it's great to be here. So again, to the community, thank you. I want to congratulate the entire Boston Collegiate space. You've made this school even stronger, and it's hard to imagine how can you make a school stronger. But you heard it already from the classrooms and having space for kids to be in and being able to learn in an environment that is conducive to education. I went to Newman Prep High School. It's in the Back Bay. It's called Newman School now. It was a condo. There was literally 2 condos next to each other, a house in the middle and 2 condos. We didn't have a lunchroom. We didn't have a gathering room. Our gathering room was just like yours, where you stand at the bottom of the stairs and everyone comes in together. But by having this opportunity for our young people really gives them an opportunity to open up their world to so many new opportunities. And having so many people caring about them, it's so important. I want to thank every single person who added their piece to make this happen, whether it was a suggestion on how to lay out a space, whether it was writing a check or getting somebody to write a check. You proved that this school is worth growing. And you have shown that over the years in doing that, working to unlock dreams of these young people that come to the school. When I became mayor in 2014, one of the things that was going on was a battle between charter schools and public schools and private schools and all these other schools. And we made it very clear in the very beginning that this isn't a battle. I don't care how young people get educated as long as young people get educated, as long as young people have opportunities to go on to college or go into a career and to be able to live their dreams and live their goals like we all had when we were young. And that's what we have to continue to do here in the city of Boston. Continue to make sure that we have 21st century learning in arts and science. And that's what's happening in the school. Making sure that there's counseling and future planning for our young people. And that's what's happening in the school. That there are spaces that young people can dream in and dream about. That's happening in the school. Spaces that young people can learn in and spaces that young people can grow in. And that's happening in this school. This is an example of, this school is one example of one of our highest priorities, creating a 21st century learning environment for all our young people. So as this school renovates and builds and adds and grows, we need to make sure that we continue to do that all across the city of Boston, whether it's in our Boston public schools or whether it's in neighborhood or charter school or some of the other schools in our city. We need to make sure, instead of being in competition with each other, we have to make sure that we open the door so all these schools can grow together. And that's what today is all about. So I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank you for the opportunity to say a few words today. I want to thank you for supporting this incredible school. And as Canella said, she said you can see the whole city of Boston from the classrooms. It wakes you up. With the learning that's happening here, you can make the whole city your own. And that's something that all the young people here, I want you to do. I want you to make the city your own. Lastly, when I talk to kids in grammar school, when I talk to kids in high school, when I talk to young people in college, what I say to them is follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. What you're doing here while you're in this school is you're laying down the foundation for your dream, whatever that dream is. It's important for you to take advantage of that opportunity while you're here. To the students of the Boston Collegiate Charter School, this is your day. Congratulations to all of you on this incredible new space in this incredible school in our incredible city. Thank you.
So I believe we have now come to the moment where we actually cut a ribbon. So that's exciting, because I didn't realize there was, you really cut a ribbon at a ribbon cutting. Thank you again, Mayor Walsh. You are such a great friend, and we're so grateful. Now for the ceremonial ribbon cutting. We have very big scissors. They sell these probably on Amazon. So we're excited that we have these scissors. Could we please be joined by our foundation board chair, President Campbell, Susan Fortin, one of our founders, Mayor Walsh, Canilla, Nicole, Stephanie, Kim and Bridget, come on up. And we are excited to cut a real ribbon with these big scissors. And Canilla and Mayor Walsh, you are in charge of the scissors. So hopefully you can figure out how to do that. You run the city, so I feel like these scissors are certainly something to figure out. Thank you.
Guys, can we have you, first off, squeeze in a little more and then come up towards us? Scoot up a little more, Mayor Walsh, I'm going to try to get your head out of that. There we go. Oh, yeah. We're super close. All right. All right, guys, squeeze in. Come in. Yep. Ready, guys? All right, guys, ready? 1, 2, 3.